How you doing, Cali Crowd? I thought I'd start today's vlog with some handstand practice. It's a decent day, but the cat was having absolutely none of it, so I'm gonna head inside and get some breakfast. I'm currently at my girlfriend's mum's house. If you're wondering about the change of scenery, they are both at my girlfriend's hen do, so I'm using the time while I'm home alone just to really get my mind together, and I've come to the conclusion that I really need to stop procrastinating and start working on this middle split goal. This is something that I've put off for a very long time, instead choosing to focus on skills more typical of a bodyweight athlete and, quite frankly, more aligned to things that I'm naturally good at, namely strength building and hypertrophy. But when you stop and think about the real calisthenics pantheon, being mobile in conjunction with being strong is a big reason for why they're able to do the sensational things that they can do. The thing is, flexibility isn't something that comes naturally to me, and the little flexibility I do have takes a lot to maintain. I had to work extremely hard to get the shoulder flexion range of motion for handstands and hamstring length to go palms to the floor in a pike. But excuses aside, this whole channel is about showing that anybody with enough commitment can learn how to achieve amazing feats with their body if they put their minds to it. And that's exactly what we're going to do here with the middle splits. Today's breakfast is just a veggie bowl with some smoked salmon. There's some crushed cashews somewhere in there as well. Let me know down in the comments if you want to see some more day of eating videos. Okay, so introducing a goal like the middle splits is actually going to be a little bit more of a significant challenge to my training week than any of the other skills that I've learned so far. At the moment, I already have 5 intense training days a week focused on football and other bodyweight strength goals. And secondly, my flexibility training is mainly directed at maintenance, which just wouldn't be enough volume to master something like the middle splits, which takes an incredible amount of work. So my plan of attack is basically this: find 2 or 3 exercises that I can do with enough consistency and intensity that I can slot into my current training program without changing much, and see if that will be enough to elicit the middle split gains that I need in order to achieve this goal. Let's just try it. Today's session will naturally be a leg day, so I started by warming up with some single leg hip openers. Aside from making you flamingo around, they open up the hips in various planes of motion, all while forcing you to maintain balance. This was followed with some lunge leans, keeping the warm-up dynamic and getting the quads firing ahead of this session. I wanted to see what I was working with and what my middle split starting point was, and well, I was surprised with how poor this was actually. While I was doing this, it really did feel like I was a lot lower, and I won't lie, I was tempted to re-record this and try it again, but I took this as fuel and jumped straight into the workout with some horse squats. I know a lot of people think flexibility training is just lying around holding pretzel shapes, which is helpful, but building strength in the range you're looking to unlock is a great way to tell your body, look, I'm safe here, just let me access more range of motion. On the last rep of each set, I held the bottom of the horse squat for about 10 seconds. I then moved on to an exercise that I love even more because of the name, the pissing dog. Aside from lengthening the hip adductors, we need to strengthen the hip abductors too. Most importantly, the glute medius. I did this with weight and bent knees first, mainly to explore that range of motion in a more comfortable position, but the moment I switched to straight legs, I was immediately fighting killer cramps. It actually reminded me a lot of when I started training for the L-sit and some of the mobility exercises I did back then, and this pissing dog exercise was just as enjoyable. It was horrible. Cramp is a telltale sign of weakness or a lack of control, so it's a sign that I really need to reflect on this area of my fitness. I then moved on to lateral squats. My goal is to eventually get to a point where I can perform quality controlled Cossack squats, but my ankle, knees and hips just aren't ready for that yet. You can't see this, but as I'm lowering into the squat and pressing down with the heel of my extended leg, this acts as a cue to make sure that I'm still keeping a reasonable amount of weight on the straight leg, which is where you'll get most of the middle split benefits. Switching into these straddle ups next. By getting to about 80% of our max middle split hold and then sitting back as low as you can before getting back up again while holding those legs straight, we're having to articulate the hips while staying in that end range. Flexibility is very much a use it or lose it, so I guess this is me using it. I really struggled with these. First I was bending the knees, then I found that I was popping my chest and arms to help me get back up. This whole session, it was basically a compilation of exposing various weaknesses in me. Next I went into this weighted frog pose, which felt weirdly relaxing. Through having the knees bent, it means that we can remove them as a factor. We already saw with the pissing dog exercise I get way more range when my legs aren't extended, and with the weight above the lower back I felt I could just sink into this. And then I wrapped up this whole session with another middle split hold to compare with how I started before this session. Now this is a decent difference considering that this whole session took about 35 minutes. Does this mean I've now unlocked this range permanently? No, probably not. Nor does it mean that if I keep doing this, it will prove effective to the same rate. But that's the journey I've chosen by starting this middle split madness, so I'll see where it goes. So I said that I'd choose 2 exercises that I would take forward for the next 6 weeks, and the 2 that I've chosen are the horse squat and the pissing dog. These were the 2 where I felt the weakest, so in theory we'll get the most bang for my buck with some work. I'm cautiously optimistic about this middle split goal. In honesty, I've always been inflexible, but I'm sick and tired of that being the narrative of my training life, and so I'm not going to continue to let that inflict itself on my training goals. I lack flexibility because I don't train for flexibility, so how can I then complain about being inflexible? It just doesn't make sense. So at least now, if I try, even if I fail, I can at least say that I've attempted to work on it. But crowd, this is the first time I've ever had a flexibility goal as part of anything I've ever done on this channel. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you don't like it down in the comment section below. And crowd, I'll see you in the next one.